The world into which Jesus was born was hungry for hope, weary under the weight of Roman occupation, and thirsty for spiritual renewal. After his miraculous birth and quiet early years, Jesus began his public ministry around the age of 30. He stepped forward not as a warrior or king, but as a humble teacher, preacher, and healer. His message was revolutionary, not one of political rebellion, but of spiritual liberation, personal transformation, and divine love. Jesus' first act of ministry was his baptism by John the Baptist in the Jordan River. As Jesus emerged from the water, the heavens opened, and a voice declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." This moment marked the divine affirmation of his mission. From here, Jesus was led into the wilderness for 40 days of fasting and temptation, a symbolic confrontation between good and evil. Emerging from the desert, Jesus began to call his first disciples, ordinary men, fishermen and tax collectors, who left everything behind to follow him. Simon Peter, Andrew, James, John, and Matthew were among those first called. These men were flawed, impulsive, and often confused by Jesus' teachings, but they became the foundation of the movement that would change the world. Jesus traveled through Galilee, Judea, and beyond, teaching in synagogues and open fields, speaking to multitudes and individuals alike. His parables, simple stories with profound truths, captured the hearts and minds of his listeners. Stories like the Good Samaritan, the prodigal son, and the mustard seed conveyed deep lessons about grace, forgiveness, humility, and the kingdom of God. But Jesus was more than a teacher, he was a miracle worker. He turned water into wine at a wedding in Cana, healed the sick, restored sight to the blind, and even raised the dead. Each miracle was a sign, a glimpse of the divine power within him and the reality of the kingdom he proclaimed. These acts of compassion drew crowds and ignited hope, but they also stirred opposition. The religious leaders, threatened by his authority and the challenge he posed to their traditions, began to plot against him. They could not accept a Messiah who washed feet, ate with sinners, and spoke of loving enemies. The tension between Jesus and the religious establishment grew as he confronted hypocrisy and legalism with boldness. Yet, despite the growing danger, Jesus continued his mission. He taught the Beatitudes, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," and spoke of a God who cared for the lilies of the field and the sparrows of the sky. He redefined greatness as servanthood, love as sacrifice, and life as something found not in power or wealth but in faith. Jesus also began to speak of his own death. He told his disciples that the Son of Man must suffer, be rejected, and rise again. They did not understand. How could the one they believed to be the Messiah speak of dying? Yet Jesus knew his path led to the cross, and he walked it willingly. One of the most poignant moments of his ministry was the Sermon on the Mount. There, overlooking the Sea of Galilee, Jesus laid out the ethics of his kingdom.